Come on.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. It is 9 a.m. and the live stream has commenced. You may begin your meeting.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Council, and residents in attendance, and anyone viewing on the Zoom. I see we indeed have quorum this morning, so I call this regular council meeting for Wednesday, May 7th into session. And our first note of business is to please rise and sing or listen to the national anthem. But anyone who has a great voice and talent, feel free to join the recording.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Very good.
Thank you.
Now I will ask Councillor Wink to please read the land acknowledgement statement.
Thank you, Mayor. The town of Pelham is situated on treaty land steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattawandurunk, Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island live and work in Niagara. The town of Pelham stands in solidarity with all Indigenous peoples, past and present, acknowledging that our high standard of living is a result of the resources and lasting friendship of Indigenous people.
Thank you, Councillor Wink. And now we have a very special ceremony, and we'll welcome our new alderman from Ward 1, and I believe we will be swearing him in.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll ask Councillor Bernarski to join me below at the podium. I'll just have you put your left hand on the Bible, and then, and your right hand you can hold up, and you can read the oath of office.
Okay. I, Bryce Bernarski, having been appointed to the office of Councillor, Ward 1, in the municipality of the town of Pelham, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or any improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
Thank you, Councillor. And if you could please just sign below. Thank you, and I understand you'd like to have your family come up for a photo?
Yes, if I could.
Okay, welcome, please. I'll grab this.
Well, that's the moment for applause. I mean,
Good.
Yeah. And have you come right about here? Can you look at the camera for me?
this big camera. I think it makes a noise.
Thank you so much.
Bryce, wait a minute. We need one of your mom and dad here also.
Okay, yeah, I would love that.
Okay, I was gonna say. Jody, I'll put her. Thank you, Jody.
We just had to get a camera, I guess.
Brian, you don't have to duck yet. There's no camera. I said if I down there too long.
If I duck,
might
they'll
not
see
get
my,
out.
yeah, if I duck, they see my balls.
She could have used my camera. Oh, there we go. Excellent. No? Excellent. No problem. Way to be.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. And Councillor Bernarski, you're near a microphone. Any words you wish to have?
Yeah, I just would like to thank everyone for this opportunity. I'm excited to represent the people of Pelham. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, all members of council, Mr. CAO, all town staff that I've had the opportunity to meet and work with. I appreciate the warm welcome, explaining the role. It's been a whirlwind of a couple weeks, but I'm very thankful for the opportunity and for your support, and of course for my family's support and love. And I am excited to represent the people of Pelham. Thank you.
Well done. Excellent. Now, council, if I can have your indulgence, a few things before we get to the official agenda. I'm going to turn to the CAO for item number 1.
And I have a municipal career of a little over 22 years duration, and I don't think I've ever worked at a place that's had a week like we've been through. So to say that this corporation and this community is firing on all cylinders is maybe the understatement of the year. But to recap, in case anyone missed any of the announcements, a week ago we won what was essentially for us a provincial mural competition, but national in scope, and Pelham is going to get the beautiful mosaic from Mural Mosaics, the Global Roots project. So it's going to be about 2 stories tall, and on the MCC on June 17th will be the official unveil. It's wonderfully spectacular, and literally 150 people have painted into it just from this community, and more than that when you wrap in the rest of Ontario. Lovely, lovely story. Last night, it was announced that we won a Hermes Creative Award for the town's website. We, as council, and I hope the community know, we did a complete revamp, which is the second complete revamp in about 5 years. And it's really a top quality product, and the proof of that is in this large American-based organization that has the whole world competing at it, acknowledging this town of 19,000 and the excellent work product we put out there. So kudos to both IT and comm staff who conjunctively did that project. So that's 2, if we're counting. 3 is also really important, but a very different part of the corporation. So the Government Finance Officers Association, it's actually both American and Canadian organization, which is to say that there are far fewer Canadian members than there are American ones. And I don't know how many municipalities participate in that because the American population is so large. But for year 5 in a row, we won an award for financial reporting and transparency. And so that is obviously a major accomplishment, and hats have to go off to both corporate/finance staff from top to bottom, because it takes a lot of people to win that, but it takes very good leadership, and it's had that too. So far, so good. That's 3. And just the cherry on the cake on top, I guess it's on a Sunday. It's on a hot dog because, the Blue Jays Foundation, like we won a very competitive award, and that's hats off to the grant writing team and rec staff, as we told a great story, and the Blue Jays Cares are giving us $88,000 to enormously upgrade baseball diamond and Centennial. So that's the wonderful thing, is that's different parts of the community and different parts of this corporation, both, that have participated towards that. And at the end of the day, that council's created an environment wherein people can thrive and apply successfully and apply themselves to their tasks so as to be winning on international stages. So been a really dynamite week for Pelham. And I just want to say, I don't think I've ever been so proud to be part of a team as I am this week, this year, this moment. It's just been wonderful. So congrats, everyone.
Yay, Team Pelham, that's for sure. And I can't help but wonder if this doesn't have anything with the mayor having strong powers. I don't know. Now, one more good news item. Councillor Eckert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to pile on here, I had the pleasure this morning over coffee reading my St. Catharines Standard, and there was a letter to the editor that stood out to me, and it's entitled "The Steve Bauer Trail Impresses." And I'll read it. It says, "I'm 65 and have been staying in Fonthill looking after an empty house for my daughter and son-in-law. Needless to say, it was an adventure in boredom until I discovered a gorgeous walking, biking, cycling, skateboarding, and whatever manner suits your need path named the Steve Bauer Trail. Had it not been for my noticing this trail, I would have been excessively bored, as I am not a couch potato. A lady encouraged me to write to the local newspaper about this trail because Steve Bauer used to be an international cycling competitor who took part in the Olympics and who helped inspire the creation of the trail, which is much needed in a small community. I took photos of Trilliums, the cycling tool station, a plaque, and signage at the front. I've met the nicest people while on this trail, and I never would have done so unless this trail was here." And this was from a lady from Guelph who's staying in our community. So kudos to the Director of Wellness and Recreation and all the town staff who maintain this, and really to the residents of Pelham. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Eckert. And if I may go back to the awards that the CAO, just all kidding aside, those awards just, again, emphasize the staff, the quality of the staff we have in this town. And like I say, I've been pulling together as a team to make this town a great place to live in. So kudos to staff and to everyone who's responsible for, again, getting these awards. Thank you. Turn to the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings us to item number 5, adoption of the agenda. I have an amendment put forth by Deputy Mayor Eckert, seconded by Councillor Hildebrandt, that the agenda be amended to include addendum items 10.5.2, 10.5.3, and 10.5.4 letters re official plan, and item 12.2.3 Blue Jays Foundation Field of Dreams grant, Centennial Park Diamond 1 upgrade. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. On this, no, we don't usually. So any comments on the amendments? Not seeing any. Call the vote. All those in favor of the amendment? Seeing none opposed, motion carries. To you, clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and that brings us to the adoption of the agenda as amended. I have a motion put forth by Deputy Mayor Eckert, seconded by Councillor Hildebrandt, that be it resolved that the agenda for May 7th, 2025 regular meeting of council be adopted as amended.
Thank you,
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. On the agenda as amended, any further comments? Not seeing any. Call the vote. All those in favor? I see none opposed. Motion carries.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor. That now brings us to item number 6, being disclosure of pecuniary interests.
Great. After viewing the agenda, is there any council member that has a pecuniary interest in general nature thereof to declare? And I see none, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, we are now on item 7, which is council representative vacancies and committee appointments for the following 4 committees: Pelham Finance and Audit Committee, Pelham Environmental and Climate Adaptation Advisory Committee, Transportation Strategy Steering Committee, Niagara Region, and Niagara Transit Commission, Niagara Region. Mr. Mayor, I will need 4 separate motions once council has discussed and decided on a representative for each committee appointment, and each motion will require a separate mover and seconder. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And if I may, before we begin this, I would like to point out that our representative for the Niagara Transit Commission, who is now a regional representative, has stated that if it's council's wish, he would like to maintain that position in representing the town of Pelham going ahead. That's obviously the wish. The wish of council, of course, will prevail, as always. I just wanted to state that. So we go individually then, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, you could start with Pelham Finance and Audit Committee if you wish.
Okay. So I ask for, is there anyone on council who would like to fulfill? Council Nesnick?
Yes, I'd be happy to step into that role on the Pelham Finance and Audit Committee for council.
Okay, thank you. Do we need a mover and a seconder?
You will.
Obviously. I need a mover and a seconder.
Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Wink will move it, and Councillor Hildebrand, you will second? Yes. Okay, thank you. We have one nominee. I don't know if that's the right word. Anyone else wish to put the name forward? Not seeing any. I'll call the vote.
Mr. Mayor, I'll read the resolution. Thank you. I have a motion put forth by Councillor Wink, seconded by Councillor Hildebrand. Be it resolved that Council of the Town of Pelham hereby appoints the following member of council to serve as the town's representative on the Pelham Finance and Audit Committee, Councillor Nisnik, and that the town clerk be directed to prepare an amending appointment bylaw for council's consideration at the next meeting of the council. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments? I don't see any. I wholeheartedly endorse the councillors putting on that, taking on this role. I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor? And I see none opposed. Councillor Nesnick, any words as you take on this new responsibility?
No, I just look forward to working with that committee and learning from them, just kind of how it all works and the intricacies to gain a deeper understanding of our finance and the process. Thank you.
And thank you for stepping forward.
You're welcome.
Thank you. To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And now you can proceed with the Pelham Environmental and Climate Adaptation Advisory Committee discussion.
Okay, thank you. On this committee, is there anyone who would, Councillor Bernarski, you're putting your name forward? Okay, thank you. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Eckert, Deputy Mayor Eckert, you are move. Councillor Nesnick, you are second. The resolution is?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a motion put forth by Deputy Mayor Eckert, seconded by Councillor Nisnik. Be it resolved that Council of the Town of Pelham hereby appoints the following member of council to serve as the town's representative on the Pelham Environmental and Climate Adaptation Advisory Committee, Councillor Bernarski, and that the town clerk be directed to prepare an amending appointment bylaw for council's consideration at the next meeting of council. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this? I see none. I will call the vote. All those in favor? I see none opposed. Thank you, Councilor Bernarski, for stepping up. And any words on taking part in this committee?
No, it's something that I'm looking forward to. I think it's a good initiative, good committee, and I look forward to working with them. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for stepping forward, sir. To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So now you can continue with the discussion with respect to the appointment for the Niagara Region Transportation Strategy Steering Committee.
Okay. So, again, is there anyone, again, this is Council Olson has this one. Is there anyone on this council who would like to fulfill that? I see none. Perhaps can we also go down to Niagara Transit? Is there anyone on this council that wants to take a Niagara Transit spot or put their name forward? No? Okay, excellent. So let's, and if that's the case, then 3 and 4, we will nominate Councillor Olson. Any further discussion on that? So I'll move on a seconder. Oh, you want to discuss?
No, I can second it,
Oh, okay, well, how about moving?
Oh, I can move it, sure.
Yeah, you can, right? We need a mover, and Councillor Bernarski, you'll second? Thank you. I'll turn to the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I have a motion put forth by Councillor Niznik, seconded by Councillor Bernarski. Be it resolved that Council of the Town of Pelham hereby appoints the following member of Regional Council to serve as the town's representative on Niagara Region Transportation Strategy Steering Committee, Regional Councillor Olson, and that the town clerk be directed to prepare an amending appointment bylaw for council's consideration at the next meeting of council and notify the Niagara Region as required. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on this? I see none. All those in favor? I see none opposed. Regional Council Olson then will be our representative on those 2 committees.
So, Mr. Mayor, I will take a separate motion for the other committee of region, please.
Oh.
So the Niagara Region's Niagara Transit Commission. I can use the same mover and seconder if that is so obliged. Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, I have a motion put forth by Councillor Niznik, seconded by Councillor Bernarski. Be it resolved that Council of the Town of Pelham hereby appoints the following member of Regional Council to serve as the town's representative on Niagara Region's Niagara Transit Commission, Regional Councillor Olson, and that the town clerk be directed to prepare an amending appointment bylaw for council's consideration at the next meeting of council and notify the Niagara Region as required. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on this appointment? Not seeing any. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? I see none opposed. That will, Regional Councillor Olson will be our Niagara Transit Commission representative also. To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and that brings us to adoption of council minutes. I have a motion put forth by Councillor Niznik, seconded by Councillor Wink. Be it resolved that the following minutes be adopted as printed, circulated, and read. C-07, 2025, regular council meeting, April 16th, 2025. To you, Mr. Mayor, for any errors or omissions.
Thank you. Any comments on these, on the minutes presented? Not seeing any. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? See none opposed. Motion carries. To you, the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and that brings us to item 9 on the agenda. If there are any items to which council would like to lift from the consent agenda, now would be the time to do so. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Yep. Sorry. Any councillor have any items that they would like to lift? And I see none. To the clerk.
Okay, through you, Mr. Mayor, that brings us to the consent agenda. And if any members wish to speak on a topic on the consent agenda, now would be the time. And if you would like, Mr. Mayor, I can call the items by category.
Yes, please.
Okay, we have presentation of recommendations and meeting minutes from April 9th, 2025, public meeting under the Planning Act regarding the official plan, 2 staff reports with respect to winter operations and spongy moth treatment schedule. There's information correspondence, a letter from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing with respect to the strong mayor powers, and there are letters from the public regarding the official plan, also correspondence from the Regional Municipality of Niagara.
Okay, thank you. Any councillor have any comments or questions on those items? Councillor Wink?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going to ask that we defer talking about this, the letters that we received from the Agricultural Committee in the conversations around the official plan, but with the number of people that are here at this point in time, I think it's probably just as well that we talk about this at this point in time and clear up what I believe is a misunderstanding of the official plan and how it impacts the agriculture community. I think there was some misunderstanding with respect to the to section 4, and there was concern on a table saying that there was 120 meter setback, and I understand once you see that as a property owner and you've got a farm, that just doesn't sit well. But if you read further into the section 4, it outlines that I believe it says 30 meters before you need further environmental studies. But I think that there's further clarification to that, and I would like to turn it over to Dr. Dusling to maybe expand upon that to allay your particular fears.
Thank you, Councillor. I will turn to the Director of Planning, Ms. Dusling.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Wink. Yes, we received, since the public meeting, 7 letters, I think, in total from the public and the agricultural community regarding some confusion about Section 4 and specifically the buffer area and the adjacent lands of natural features. So I can clarify. There are 2 areas of protection from a natural feature, and I'll use woodlands as an example. So if there is a significant woodland, there is a 30-meter buffer that exists surrounding the woodland, and in that area, there is contemplated no development for significant protection of that feature. Now, in saying no development, there are opportunities, and it's outlined in the new draft official plan, that farming uses are exempt in that regard. So farmers can continue to farm their fields, have livestock, have barns in that area if they exist, or houses if they exist, and are even allowed to provide expansions to the structures in that area that exist. There's also opportunity for minor building in that area if needed to a small scale. Then there is a 120-meter area from that 30-meter buffer that is adjacent to lands. If there is development in that area, an environmental impact study is required, again, unless you are a farmer, which uses are exempt. And again, that includes new houses that would be accessory to a farmer, barns that would be accessory to a farm operation, and then your raising of livestock and tilling of farmland. So I hope that clarifies. We have some other solutions when we get into the report under the new official plan as well that I can share with council at that time.
Councillor Wink.
Old habits die
Old
hard,
habits.
right?
Yeah.
Thank you for that explanation. I hope that I see someone saying, no, it doesn't address. I don't know if we can open it up to the public.
So when we get into the report, the Director of Planning does have a resolution that she's going to present to council.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we will be getting into this a lot more when we discuss the report. Just, if you want to just discuss these letters, but go ahead, Councilor Nesling.
So just a question for Dr. Dusling. So in my brain, so because it's agricultural land, a farmer could till the lands or grow right up to and including past that 30 meters, right up to the where the environmental protection zone begins.
Through you, the mayor, to councillor, yes, that's correct. You can continue all farming purposes right up to the feature.
So right up to the feature.
Right up
that
to the
30
feature.
meters, that one, nothing's included on that.
That 30-meter buffer is for no new significant development, but all farming-related uses can continue up to the feature.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And like we say, we will give you a more fulsome discussion once we get the report on the floor. Excellent. Any other questions on the letters? Okay, excellent. To the clerk. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I thereby have a motion put forth by Councillor Hildebrand, seconded by Councillor Wink. Be it resolved that the consent agenda items as listed on the May 7th, 2025 council agenda be received and the
Sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Excuse me, could we just talk about a couple?
Yep, see, we left, we didn't talk.
Could we talk about a couple other of the consent agenda items before we?
Yes, absolutely. My apologies. So
Yes.
That's okay, no worries, yeah.
So now then, council, we will go from
Usually we kinda jump 'em.
the 10.6 down to the 10.64, I take it, is the one that's left. So go ahead, Council Nestle.
Thank you. Well, actually, I'd like to go back up to 10.3.1. Counselor Wink beat me to the punch on the arm raising, so that's why we'll have to go back up, if that's okay. Just a comment with regards to winter operations report. The report was very well written, so thank you very much. I don't have any questions about it. It's just more or less to draw it to the public's attention that we do spend a lot of money. And actually, this year, we went over budget in terms of snow removal, and the town operations did an excellent job making sure that that was completed in as timely a fashion as legal ability for their working crew, as well as making sure that our sidewalks were cleared as well. So I can certainly understand why we went over budget this season. Let's hope for a more mild winter next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Go ahead, Councillor Hildebrand.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to talk about the Niagara Regional Transit service metrics, and chart 20 especially. If you look at the chart, they did it by alphabetic. And when you change the chart around to do by frequency of runs, what that shows you is that we're 9th on a list of 12 municipalities in terms of rides. And the 10th one below us is Thorold, and 100% of the ride was specialized transit. When you transfer that with the fact that I tried to book on Monday a ride to this council meeting for 9 o'clock. The earliest I could get here was 10:29. 2 weeks in advance you can book. I tried to book a ride 2 weeks in advance, nada. So I'm concerned that the residents in the town of Pelham, we have an assessment of $984,000. That translates to $165 per ride. Essentially. That's a lot to pay and then not to be able to get a ride. I don't know how the students or people that have appointments are able to get their rides on time. It just doesn't sit right with me. I have no idea how Fort Erie gets 25,000 rides and we get 1,520 rides. There's 10 microtransit vans. How is that possible? Something doesn't seem right. So all I'm saying, I'd like our representative, maybe we need to have a meeting with the Transit Commission coming to our council to have a report. But it just doesn't sit right with me when we pay that much and we don't get the service. I use Uber when I travel. And when you use Uber, I can get 5 rides. I checked this morning to this council meeting. I can get and that's between 7 and 10 minutes from the time I book a ride. And that's $15 a ride. Those are my comments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hildebrand, and perhaps obviously a discussion with our representative should take place, and perhaps even invite Councillor Olson back to discuss transit business with all of council, perhaps.
Yes. The other complicating factor is you need 2 apps. You need the app to get the ride, and then you need an app to pay. Or unless you pay cash.
Yes. Okay,
Unless
excellent.
you're tech savvy, I'm not sure how all these seniors get around these
Yes.
applications.
Yeah, and as we know, the first year was to bring everything together, but after a while, that excuse does fade a little thin, and they should be starting to get things figured out, and I agree with you. The 2 apps does seem to be, for seniors, one app is more than enough.
You're right. Thank you.
Okay, we appreciate your comments, Councillor. Any other comments on this block? Not seeing any, I'll turn to the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And if there's any further discussion on the information correspondence?
No, I don't see any.
Okay, would you like me to call the motion then?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. I have a motion put forth by Councillor Hildebrandt, seconded by Councillor Wink. Be it resolved that the consent agenda items as listed on the May 7th, 2025 council agenda be received and the recommendations contained therein be approved. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? See none opposed. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. That brings us to item 12.2, staff reports requiring action. Our first item is 12.2.1, recommendation report, Town of Pelham official plan. I have a motion put forth by Councillor Niznik, seconded by Councillor Hildebrandt. Be it resolved that council receive report 2025-0015, recommendation report, Town of Pelham official plan for information, and that council direct planning staff to prepare the bylaw for adoption of the Town of Pelham official plan, and that council directs staff to forward the adopted official plan to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing for approval. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So obviously, myself and all of council and all of planning staff have had a lot of letters come into our possession over the last week, 2 weeks, which I found very disheartening that they came in at such a last call. So we've been 2 years. And but something happens. I'll leave that one word out, and it is what it is. We'll turn to the director of planning, and I believe you have a resolution to read that the rest of then council will discuss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd like to start off by saying thank you to the public and a big thank you to project manager Lindsay, and also I'm going to say her right-hand man, John Rosso, who has been doing a lot of the mapping in-house this year for the official plan project. This is a milestone for planning staff, as it has been more than a year in the making for this new official plan. And the new official plan will definitely set new policies in terms of land use, updated policies in terms of land use for the town of Pelham. And I know staff are very excited about the possible adoption today of the official plan, because for us, it's not only the conclusion of a big project, but it also means that we can start working and doing good work on updating the zoning bylaw and secondary plans, which is next on the to-do list. I will give council a quick update to say since April 9th, which was the statutory public meeting for the official plan. Staff have continued to work with the presenters that you heard at the public meeting, as well as those that had written in letters. And I'm happy to say, I think it's safe to say that we've probably made 98% of their requests and changes to the official plan since April 9th. There were a few things that were not mandated or were not consistent with the provincial planning statement that we couldn't include, but for the most part, we've met all the requests. We continue to work with, if you recall, there were 3 landowners in particular, 2 that presented and 1 as a letter on some natural features on their property. We continue to work with them. They all have a little bit of different policy regime on their properties. One property owner I can share with you, there are significant changes that were made to their natural features because they were local features. And the other 2, they have some more work to do in terms of environmental impact studies or scoped impact information that we require, but we continue to work with them on their requests as well, and that's allowed within the policy framework. So that leads us to the 7 letters that were received in the last week or so. And if we would have received that information earlier, I would be very clear in saying that we probably would have made these changes already to the document that's in front of you today. But we recognize that some of the agricultural community has questions on continued protection of local natural features, and then also some confusion on the features in terms of the buffer and the adjacent lands. And those are the 2 items that are repeated in the 7 letters that we've received. We've also been chatting since we received those letters with the region. And I believe regional staff are with us today, both Kara and Alex, to help us answer any questions that council may have specifically about Section 4 and the buffer and adjacent lands of features. So thank you, regional staff, for being with us and for your expertise. And we have also been having some discussions with a local planning consultant who I understand is working with many of these farmers, Mr. Craig Larmer. And we chatted even early this morning about next steps. So with all of that being said, we do have an additional resolution drafted for council, and I'm happy to read it. And I know that the deputy clerk also has a copy of it already. But it outlines that we, if council would direct staff to continue working with the property owners that we've received the letters from, with the Agriculture Advisory Committee. We're happy to meet with them in the next month. And also the planning consultant who is representing to clarify and educate on some of the concerns. So the resolution recommendation is that council direct planning staff to update Section 4 of the final official plan to administratively clarify that 1, no new substantial development is permitted in natural feature buffers. 2, other natural features are mapped as an overlay and reflect in policy accordingly. And 3, farming uses are exempt from adjacent lands of a significant natural feature and with lands outside of the urban areas. As staff, we feel that this resolution will give us an opportunity over the next 3 to 4 weeks, because that is the period of time that we would have to get the adopted official plan to the province. But we feel that gives us enough time to work with the agricultural community and confirm their concerns within specific details of the policy. And I'm happy to answer any questions. And again, regional staff are online with us today.
Excellent. Thank you for bringing that resolution forward. I'll open it up to discussion, and of course, the report and the resolution comments on that. Councilor Barnarski.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Dusling, for that report. I'm sure you can appreciate that it's been a whirlwind for me. I'm trying to understand and get a good grasp on this entire report. For the resolution, what does that mean in terms of, the OP is approved, but still looking to work with those that are impacted or are concerned or have expressed their concerns? What would the resolution do to be able to address those concerns or to change them, if that makes sense?
Yep. Through the mayor to councilor, good questions. So if the official plan is adopted today, staff would be bringing back a bylaw on the 21st of May. Between now and then, we would be working with the Agriculture Advisory Committee, planning consultant, and getting back to the landowners just to educate and clarify the policies. If any changes are made, we would bring a memo back on the 21st with the bylaw to outline those changes to council. And then from that period, we have 15 days to get a final version of the official plan and all of the supporting material, including the public meetings, the conversations we've had with the public, all of those details in one package with a big bow on it to the province.
Excellent, thank you. So through Mr. Mayor, that bylaw, there would be some room for changes if needed, if necessary.
So again, at the time of the bylaw on the 21st, we would probably bring forward a memo to outline the changes that are made to the final document.
Okay, thank you very much, appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Hildebrand.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I understand that this is a very critical and important document. I find it hard to get an amendment of such significance without seeing the document previously prior to me trying to approve a document. I'd certainly like something in writing.
To CAO.
This is actually the fourth official plan of my career. So I say this from having gone through this 3 times at municipalities that aren't the town of Pelham. it's never done. There's never a lot, like, there's always some sort of unfortunate rush at the last minute, even though this is much closer to a 2-year odyssey than a 1 year. In fact, I think quietly amongst staff, it's about 2.5 of work. And I don't know how many planning degrees have touched this, but I don't have enough fingers. And the regional planners are online and prepared to answer questions if you have them. Here's the thing to that, and I say this with the, Ontario has moved the goalposts. You are not the approval authority, and I don't say that lightly or out of malice or anything, but the buck here does not stop with this council. It just doesn't. It stops with Ontario. The fundamental role of this council is to say, what you're saying, if you do vote in the affirmative, is generally speaking, this represents, because this is the top planning document, it's the aspirational one. It's not the zoning bylaw. You're saying this generally refers or correctly represents the hopes and aspirations of the residents of this town for what this town is going to look like in the future. I say this to the members of the public because we don't have any system that's going to allow us to argue or debate back and forth. You don't have a direct voice to come to a podium in this meeting, nor shall you between now and either next meeting or this meeting, whenever you choose to substantively endorse it. That's what you're really doing. You're substantively endorsing. But this isn't much different. You know, earlier this year and late last year, we dealt with some cemetery changes. You weren't the approval authority. That had to go on to a provincial organization. And there's something similar around development charge. Like, there are a couple of things we work on that, in fact, we're not the approval authority. This is one of those. So what I say to the public is, I think that we are extremely correct, and we found like the right answer, and the explanatory notes, in essence, that Dr. Dusling's referring to are meant to offer comfort, but that this thing is already correct. That being said, if we're wrong, Ontario will fix it. This is going to go to Ontario planners whose job, fundamentally in the approval process, is to look at the document as endorsed and to try to like intellectually attack the thing. That's what they're doing. When you're the approval authority, you look at the thing and you're looking for flaws and incorrect, or where it doesn't comply with what the province says planning should look like. They have documents that say, these are our principles. And so there are some provincial planners that are going to look at whatever you pass and put to them and try to attack the thing. And if or where they can't, they will make changes. They're not negotiable, they're not debatable, they will write them in. I've never seen something come back without some red ink on it. Maybe this will be the first. And if there's going to be a place that does the first, it'll be here and now. But, and a full vote of confidence over there. But kidding aside, I've never seen one that didn't come back with some red ink. There is very good explanation to every piece. These changes are fundamentally about modifying some language so as to hopefully bring some comfort to people who are not comfortable. But respectfully, they're wrong. This is correct. And the last, we'll never, if we come back in 2 weeks, there'll still be more. Like, this is a 2-year odyssey, and the way forward is through. This has been a very hard, difficult process that's involved a lot of thought, a lot of contemplation, a lot of revision, and a lot of eyeballs. And right now, the Conservation Authority is substantively on side, regional planning staff substantively on side. Apparently I'm speaking for them, but that's why they're here, to say those things. The Escarpment Commission also, like sets of planners from those 3 organizations also through their lens. So I really don't know how many planning degrees have put this here. But we have a lot of things that need this to be passed so that we can get to them. It's a very critical document that allows us to do a better job at growth in the future. So at the end of the day, if it is your preference that you defer this for a couple of weeks, we can do that. But life experience has taught me that the last minute complaint, and it's impossible to get a document that 19,000 people agree on. That just doesn't happen. We just had a federal election that had 42% and 41% of like the electorate split in two ways. That's not a possible thing. What I can say is if there's anything technically wrong, and I believe there's nothing, but Ontario will get it because ultimately, and with respect, we are not the approval authority here. Question is, does this substantively meet and forward community benefit? And I think it does. And I think that's the test, the thing that you should ask yourself. Is this moving us forward into a modern planning era? And absolutely, that's the case. It's dramatically better than what we have in place. They're night and day.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments? Councilor Hildebrand?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I guess my preference, I'm not going to put a motion through for the referral, but my preference would be to cede the revisions and deferral for a couple of weeks.
Okay,
That
thank
would
you.
be my vote.
If I may, Councilor Wing. So again, this has been a long process. We've had many public meetings. We've had developers in here. We've had we've had residents. And it is unfortunate that the agricultural community was not aware of this particular section. That's fine. I get it. And I'm very happy that the Director of Planning came up with this resolution, because I would have passed this today without the resolution, but it makes me feel a lot better knowing that we will continue, and when I say we, I mean the Planning Department, will continue to work with the agriculture community over the next several weeks. It's not going to drag out all summer long. We've got a deadline. Planning has other situations, other events that they have to get working on. So, but the fact is, the next 3 weeks, we can, the ACC can meet, bring their plans or objections, if there is any, after they've talked to planning, and we will have the last kick at the can on when it comes back to council. So when we put those boundaries in effect that are causing so much consternation, the urban people wanted that inside the urban inside the urban boundaries. They did not want developers to build up to the woodlot. They wanted a boundary. They wanted a buffer zone. That's what we gave them. And did we go above and beyond? Yes, we did. And yes, the residents supported us 100% on that. And the fact that the ag community is exempt from these buffers, and we go back to the 30. And I had an email come in this morning, and they said, well, what about a land speculator buying land in Pelham? Well, I'm sorry. I'm not sitting in this chair worried about land speculators and how they're going to live with the buffer zone. That's not my responsibility. I'm here for the residents of the town and for the businesses of the town. So I think that staff has done a great job. I'm glad that they're going to have another 3 weeks to discuss again any and to clarify with the farming community. When I hear that sentence that agriculture is exempt, then that 99% of my questions are answered. Obviously, there's other questions that other individuals want to ask. I'm willing to obviously let that take place in the next 3 weeks, and then when it comes back again, we can finalize it. But I'm more than willing to put this through with that condition in place, and when it comes back, I got great faith in our planning department to, if they have to tweak it, they will tweak it, and we will see the tweaked result one last time when it comes back. Those are my thoughts on this. Councilor Wink?
Yes, so first and foremost, I appreciate the resolution that's being proposed, that there's going to be continuous dialogue with the agricultural community around this, but to the point, agriculture is exempt from this. Okay. Dr. Dusling indicated that we did have a public meeting on April 9th. 98% of those concerns that were brought forward have been resolved and dealt with. I trust that the conversations will happen with the agricultural community. And if there needs to be amendments or whatever, or further resolution, that will be on May 25th, I think. Yes. So I'm willing to go forward with this. I'd like to just go on record and thank staff for this enormous undertaking that's lasted roughly 2 years. This has been a lot of work, and it's been excellent work that they've done. There's been numerous consultations with the public, different agencies, developers, and I think we've addressed the concerns that have been done, and I applaud the staff for presenting a very thorough document, and appreciate everything that they've done. And big thanks to Lindsay and Dr. Dusling and the rest of the planning staff and all those that they've had to consult. I thank the agencies, I thank the developers, I thank the public for bringing their concerns forward. It's been a long process, but I think we've got a very good document here. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Wink. Deputy Mayor Eckert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, to Dr. Dusling and Lindsay Richardson, excellent report. I especially liked the section where I appreciated it, where you listed the concerns, and then in red, you listed what you've done to relieve or alleviate those concerns or changes that you made. It made it much easier document to read. Just to show you that I did read it, I now know the name, what riparian means. That stumped me, but I do now know what riparian means. And if anybody wants to know, I'll be giving a class after the council meeting. But I want to thank staff as well, along with Councillor Wink, for an excellent document. It's been, I don't know if I'd call it a labor of love, but it's certainly been a labor. But I also, as well, I want to thank the developers that came forward and reasonably discussed their concerns. I want to thank the members of the Agricultural Committee, many of whom are here this morning, for bringing their concerns forward. And I hope that this resolution alleviates many of the fears and the exemption, as Councillor Wink stated on a number of occasions, alleviates their fears. But going forward, in the next month or so, there will be, or not month, 3 weeks, I guess, that there will be more discussions with the agricultural community, because that seems to be the area of most concern at this point in time. I don't see any developers here, so they seem to be okay with the document, but we want to make sure that the agricultural community is satisfied with the end result too. So I applaud you for the resolution you brought forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Eckert. Councilor Nesnick.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, just a couple questions for Dr. Dusling or for her staff. Or maybe even the Niagara region. So just wondering, these setbacks and that sort of thing, there's some confusion whether it's provincial driven or regional driven, and there seems to be a difference in those two things. So can you just kind of explain how it goes from the province to the region to the municipality?
Yeah, great question. There is, I'll be the first to admit, Councillor, the environmental policies in especially Niagara are confusing. because you have multiple layers, right? You have local policies, you have provincial policies that have just changed, and the growth plan has just been eliminated, and then you have Greenbelt and Niagara Escarpment Commission, so on layers on top of layers of environmental policies. If you don't mind, I'm going to turn this question over to regional staff because they are our experts in terms of the environment, and I know they explain things incredibly well. So Kara and Alex, I'll turn this over to you.
Great. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Kara Lampman. I'm the Manager of Environmental Planning with the region. Happy to be here to support you guys today and answer all of your questions. My colleague Alex Dickey is also with me, and she'll make sure that whatever I miss, she'll answer whatever I can't get to. So great question about where the direction comes from when we talk about adjacent lands and buffers. And I've already heard some great discussion in council today about that those two things are quite different, right? Adjacent lands are different from buffers. Adjacent lands are a trigger for when an environmental impact study may be required, and buffers are protected lands to make sure that those features are protected over the long term. So in terms of adjacent lands, that language does come directly from the province. It is within the provincial policy or planning statement, sorry, always getting that incorrect these days. So it is within the provincial planning statement. And in order to be consistent with the provincial planning statement, which is a requirement of the town of Pelham's official plan, you do have to have language around adjacent lands within your plan. So that direction does come from the province and then is then downloaded into the regional official plan, and as a result, downloaded into your plan because all of those plans need to be consistent with that provincial direction.
Councillor?
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. That's what I assumed would happen. So I guess the conversation in some of the letters was that the region has not updated yours yet. So then was there some confusion on that in terms of it being different from provincial direction?
So through the mayor to the councillor, another great question. One thing that is sort of missing from that provincial direction is exactly what those, at least within the provincial planning statement, is exactly what distances, what widths those adjacent lands should be. And there's additional information within other planning documents, such as the Natural Heritage Reference Manual, which give municipalities, which give the region and the lower tier municipalities direction on what those widths should be within the different planning documents. And so that's really what the region mostly relied on, the Natural Heritage Reference Manual, when we put those adjacent lands widths within our plan and what we recommend that lower tiers use, because there should be some scientific basis as to what those widths should be. And that scientific basis is given to us within that Natural Heritage Reference Manual. So it is provincial direction, but it's not within the provincial planning statement. So they're not required in terms of being consistent with the provincial planning statement, but we do have that background scientific data from the Natural Heritage Reference Manual, which gives us that backing to include those adjacent lands distances. So that's what we've done.
Perfect. That really helped my understanding. And then just one more question for Dr. Dusling, if she could, oh jeepers, now I moved my screen. Where was that little chart? Oh, here we go. So if you could, for me, do you have it? So that it's just in section 4.1.6.4. So it says, I can read it to you if you don't have it there. It's short. Notwithstanding policy 4.2.5.3, outside of settlement areas, consideration can be given to including passive recreation. No, that's not the right spot. Sorry. It's where the exemption for the agricultural one was. Darn it. Maybe someone else has a question and I'll hunt it down.
Okay. I'll go to Deputy Mayor Eckert.
Yes, just in relation to the exemption. So we have an exemption for agricultural use in our official plan. Does that exemption exist, or will it exist in the regional plan and the provincial guidelines?
another question, I think, is to the regional representative.
Yeah, great. Thank you for the question. And through the mayor, yes, those agricultural exemptions are also within the regional official plan, and those were given careful consideration. There was a lot of dialogue, even when the region was updating our official plan, on making sure we were protecting agricultural uses over the long term. And that's a major focus of the region's plan. And that has been downloaded to the town of Pelham's plan. So yes, it does show up in the region's plan, and there's direction within the provincial policy statement that you can't have negative impacts on existing agricultural uses either. So that's where that stems from. So it is in all the hierarchy of the planning documents.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor, and back to Council Nesnick.
Yes, I did find it, sorry. It was 4.2.44. Could you just expand and kind of explain that maybe a little bit in layman's terms for me?
Sure. So through you, the mayor, to councillor, I'll ask Lindsay just to read that section and provide her comments on that.
Sure, thank you. So that section just reads, notwithstanding policy 4241, which is the chart with the adjacent land numbers, new buildings and structures for agricultural uses, agricultural-related uses, or on-farm diversified uses will not be required to undertake an environmental impact study or hydrologic evaluation if the minimum required buffer of 30 meters is maintained. And so essentially in layman's terms, so that 30-meter buffer is that kind of no development zone that's listed in table 4.2. So that already exists. As a caveat to that, for agricultural uses, within that buffer area, if a landowner went through an environmental impact study in that case and it was determined you could put a house within that buffer and would have no negative impact on the future, allowed. However, in terms of the question that you're asking, essentially they would not have to do any work in order to do any new development or any addition or expansion to an agricultural use within that, be it 120 or 50 meters, whichever the feature is there. So essentially they are exempt from the requirement provided they maintain the buffer.
We good?
Yes, I think so. I think where we have to be careful is the word new development in terms of if it's agricultural based for the development can occur. But if it's they sold the property and now a developer wants to come in and develop it, that's a big different story. And those protections are in place. And I think those are imperative that those are in place, in my opinion. So thank you. I'm certainly willing to move forward in the approval of this with knowing that you are going to continue to work with those three foci for the next couple of weeks and bring back the tweaked version if needed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. If I may ask a couple of questions, probably already know the answers. So agricultural business will be defined by?
Through you, the mayor, that's considered either an ag-related use or an on-farm diversified use. And there is, again, through that policy that Lindsay just read, opportunities for those uses as well as farming.
Excellent. And another question that was brought to me yesterday, they wondered why this policy couldn't be applied on agricultural land. But there's many instances in Pelham that the agricultural land is owned by someone who is obviously a non-farming resident. And if that was the case, if we were not to specify between a bona fide farmer and just someone who lives in an agricultural zone, then we wouldn't have, it wouldn't have any teeth. Anybody would be able to go to the 30 meters, regardless of they're farming or not.
That's correct. So in the town of Pelham, the lands outside of the urban boundaries are either agriculture or specialty agricultural. And the lands, I should say, in Pelham are also very fragmented. We see a lot of, there aren't too many large farm parcels in Pelham. They're mostly smaller. So if there were, let's say, a 10-acre parcel or a 20-acre parcel, or someone lived but did not farm, they would need to go through and be consistent with the buffer and the adjacent lands and require an EIS if they wanted to build in that adjacent lands area. We are through this policy regime, keeping in mind farming first approach. We are a farming community here in Pelham, and we want to provide our farmers opportunities to be exempt from those. So if you are not a farmer, you would have to comply with the buffer and the adjacent land policies.
Excellent, excellent. So being a farmer my whole life, I really appreciate the fact that this document, with that one little sentence and with you explaining other things, farming is exempt from the new boundaries. I like that. I'm glad that we have other questions that you're going to have 3 weeks to tweak, explain, and come back with if the document does indeed have to have some tweaks to it, better language perhaps, whatever. I'm willing to move ahead and trust the planning department and the residents to meet, and like you say, if it has to come back slightly modified, I'd be okay with that also. Thank you. Any other discussion on this? Sorry, Councilor Bernarski.
I apologize. I don't want to be the new guy to come in here and just ask so many questions, but I do appreciate, again, all of the work that has gone into the document and these explanations further. I do feel much better, and I hope that those in attendance today in council and online feel that as well. And I appreciate the opportunity for the conversation to continue for a few more weeks, address concerns, questions, and as the mayor said, bring it back if needed. So I certainly appreciate that, and thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? If not, then we need a vote, I believe. Mover and seconder?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, so the amendment, we would require a mover and a seconder that the motion be amended to add the resolution, which I can read, so if you'd like, mover and so it is the amendment put forth by the mover and seconder to be determined that the motion be amended to add, and that council directs planning staff to update section 4 of the final official plan to administratively clarify that 1, no new substantial development is permitted in natural feature buffers. 2, other natural features are mapped as an overlay and reflected in policy accordingly. And 3, farming uses are exempt from the adjacent lands of a significant natural feature within lands outside the urban areas.
And a mover and a seconder. Councilor Wink, you will move it, and Deputy Mayor Eckert, you will second it. Any more discussion on the report or the resolution? Not seeing any, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And I see none opposed. Motion carries.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will now need a mover and a seconder for the motion as amended.
Okay, Councilor Wink, Councilor Deputy Mayor Eckert.
So be it resolved that council receive report 2025-0015 recommendation report, Town of Pelham official plan for information, and that council directs planning staff to update section 4 of the final official plan to administratively clarify that 1, no new substantial development is permitted in natural feature buffers. 2, other natural features are mapped as an overlay and reflected in policy accordingly. And 3, farming uses are exempt from the adjacent lands of a significant natural feature within lands outside the urban boundaries, and that council direct planning staff to prepare the bylaw for adoption of the Town of Pelham official plan, and that council directs staff to forward the adopted official plan to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing for approval. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments on this item? Councilor Nesnick.
Yes, sorry. I'm just wondering if it needs to come back after. So I guess I'm just wondering about process. Maybe you can help me with this, Deputy Clerk, in terms of, so they won't be forwarding it to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs until we see it a second time. Is that correct? So should that be taken off for today's vote?
Perhaps to the
Yes, thank you. Through the mayor and to the clerk as well and councillor. So the next step will be a bylaw on the 21st. At the time the bylaw comes forward, planning staff are happy to have a memo with that to outline the changes, so council is comfortable with any of those changes that have been made. And then once the bylaw is passed, then we have 15 days to get it to the province. And I
So
will
does-
outline too, just in addition to that, when it is at the provincial level, there's still an opportunity for the public to provide comments directly to the province. It will be on the ERO, and they can connect to the province directly.
So is it okay to leave it in there then, you think?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so, yes.
All right.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Not seeing any. Call the vote. All those in favor? And I see none opposed. And I'll ask the Director of Planning, will you be setting up the meeting with the ACC? Is that how that would work?
Through you, the Mayor, we are on it as staff. We know that it's a very busy time for the agricultural community right now during planting season, et cetera, so we'll work within their schedules.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you very much. And thank the residents for showing up this morning and showing your concern. Excellent. To the clerk. Oh, and thank you to the regional representatives for joining us also. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, our next item is 12.2.2 Video Surveillance Policy. I have a motion put forth by Deputy Mayor Eckert, seconded by Councillor Wink. Be it resolved that Council receive Report 2025-0085 Video Surveillance Policy for information, and that Council approve the attached Video Surveillance Policy S203-19 as presented, which includes procedures required for legislative compliance, such as notice of collection signage, retention and access, the recommendations and privacy considerations provided by the Information Privacy Commissioner, IPC, for the use of video surveillance system, and staff roles and responsibility, public consultation, and video surveillance program reviews and audits. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. CAO, video surveillance, of course, the report was very well written, but video surveillance tinges a big brother, perhaps. I'm just kidding you. There was, I know we've talked and you were very fortunate, very appreciative of Council Olson for bringing this ahead so we could indeed bring it up to date.
You know, the motion obligated staff to go through the analytical exercise of looking at what we had on paper and what we were doing, and then our deputy clerk led us through the process quite ably, I might add. So we went to the Information and Privacy Commission, and we went and looked at other municipalities, and we actually found there were a couple of best practices we weren't engaged with. So there's been considerable benefit from going through the exercise. What's before you today, by way of policy, is better, but it's not just abstract words on a piece of paper. What's, we have signage ready to go. A basic best policy is to let people know when they are on camera. We weren't doing that. So there are a couple of pieces. So it's actually a lot less Big Brother, because it's Big Brother when they're watching you and not telling you.
Yes.
Right? In this instance, if you're going to go into, generally speaking, a high-traffic public place, we have cameras. We're not going to keep the data for the recordings for particularly long. You see the timelines vary depending on the location, and that's also justifiable. That's enough time if there was, a security incident or a potential crime or something of that nature. It's more than enough time for the police to let us know or for us to realize something's happened and be able to save the data appropriately. But beyond that, we don't keep it for very long. So it's a nice balancing act. And this is I'm really glad now former Councillor Olson brought that motion, because we thought we were doing reasonably well with it, and this is much better. So I hope it meets your general approval. I think it's a better balancing act of privacy rights with legitimate public and corporate security needs, and that ultimately can ensure that all of our public spaces remain safe and welcoming for people to enjoy properly.
Excellent. And video can cut down on a lot of arguing augmentative details. Excellent. Any other comments on the report? Councilor Hildebrand?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, thank you very much for staff bringing this report back to us. One area of concern I have revolves around vaping at washrooms and washroom fires. When you look at the school board reports, several of our local high schools have had significant incidences in their washrooms, and those incidences are $1 million plus expenses when they occur. And I know from visiting Cisco Systems, one of the things they specialize in, they sell video surveillance cameras that can detect whether the person has been vaping or not, and it's been found as quite an effective deterrent to students participating in those events in the washrooms. And I'm not sure whether that should be a specific area of observation we should have at our Meridian Center, for instance, because a fire there in one of those locations would be very expensive for us. And I'd like to further ask the question from the fire chief, because I'm sure he's got experience locally in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments about cameras in, although I'm not sure there isn't a legal thing also, but we'll go to the fire chief as directed first.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I guess that would be more of a legal question with the expectation of privacy. As far as the fire aspect of it, there are initiating devices in all areas, smoke and rate of rise, and if a fire did occur, it would be, the initiating devices would be activated quite quickly, so.
Right outside the washroom. They don't put them inside.
Oh, I see. Okay, they're right directly outside the door.
Well, just in the area. The camera is so sensitive, it can detect vaping when a
Okay.
person walks out.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, the cameras are never in the washroom.
Okay, okay. Thank you for that clarification. Thanks. Mr. CEO, I believe we were talking about cameras a couple of months ago.
We were. In fact, this calendar year, council did decline staff request to spend more on cameras in that building. Ahem. But that being said, what Councillor Hildebrand is suggesting is, I'm sure, technically feasible. If you'd like us to explore that, pass a motion. And at the end of the day, I say non-flippantly, it's only money. We can have better, we think we need better cameras in that location. We've already brought that argument to you once this calendar year, unsuccessfully. We'd be happy to explore that. In fact, we'd very much welcome the opportunity. This functionality, like, I understand where Councillor Hildebrand's going. I have a spouse who works in the education field and can absolutely confirm there is a challenge amongst a certain demographic, amongst vapes, and there are instances around Ontario. I have, secondhand involvement from a school that had to have multiple fire trucks called to it in the last 6 months. We have a major fire incident out in a bathroom. So that exists. And if you'd like us to take a look at it, we'd be happy to do so. Or you could direct something for either a report or direct us to include in the next year's budget, as you prefer.
Yeah.
We're here to be responsive, and that technology exists, and this is doable. I don't know what it costs. I don't have an answer to that, but if council's interested in us looking, we can do so.
Okay. Thank you. So, Councillor Hildebrand?
The item I was bringing up would mainly be an item for next year's budget consideration.
Okay. Okay, and it sounds like something that the council should be taking a very good look at, for sure. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you. Any other comments, questions on the video surveillance report? Not seeing any. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carries.
And Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, our next item is 12.2.3 Blue Jays Foundation Field of Dreams Grant, Centennial Park Diamond 1 Upgrade. I have a motion put forth by Councillor Hildebrand, seconded by Deputy Mayor Eckert. Be it resolved that Council receive Report 2025-0113, Blue Jays Foundation Field of Dreams Grant, Centennial Park Diamond 1 Upgrade for information, and that Council select option number blank to fund the town's portion of $320,000 for a 2026 capital project number 500-526, Parks LED Light Upgrade, Centennial Park Ball Diamond. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I look around the council chambers. I see that all councilors were present at the event on Sunday when we were fortunate enough to be a winning community for the 88,000 plus, which necessitates this before us today. Any comments on this report? I'll go with Deputy Mayor Eckert.
My question would be directed to the Director of Finance, who I saw chuckled when the CAO said it's only money.
I agree.
So this this proposal, and there's some coming out of reserves, et cetera, just explain to me how that's going to work.
To the Deputy of Finance, Ms. Quinlan.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there's two options here. So when we looked at this grant, when we look at grants, we don't look only at the in-year, what's happening with the in-year capital. We have a 10-year plan that council has looked at, and that gives us a chance to look at to see which projects we can actually get grant funding for. So in this situation here, we do have a capital project for 2026, which is the upgrade of the Centennial Park LED lights for $230,000. So that's just to give you a bit of a background. So right now, in the current 2025 capital budget, we have two line items that council has approved. One is for $400,000 for the North Pelham Multipurpose Court, and the other one is $90,000 for North Pelham Park Diamonds upgrade to clay. So the two options, the first one is we can use $320,000 to which is our portion of this upgrade, and defer the multi-purpose court redevelopment to 2026, so just switching projects around. Or option two, we can go ahead and do the multi-purpose court for $400,000 as approved by council, and what we would defer is the $90,000 of the diamond upgrade in North Pelham Park, and then we would take the $230,000 out of the Parks Reserve. So we wanted to give council the option to say which projects do you want to move forward with. So just to summarize, right now in 2025, we have $400,000 approved for the North Pelham Multipurpose Court and $90,000 for the North Pelham Ball Diamonds clay upgrade. So do we want to do, if we want to do everything, then we're taking $320,000 out of a reserve. But what we're saying is that one of those two projects should be deferred to next year, so that we're taking less out of the reserve. We're just trying to balance all this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Deputy Mayor Eckert. So if I had to advance anything before we obviously vote, I would like to see us continue to do the 90,000 upgrade to the diamonds, and I would suggest that we delay the 400,000 in North Pelham for 1 year, and obviously take advantage of this grant and not have to pull so much money out of the Park Reserve Fund. How does the rest of council think on that one? Council Hildebrand? I saw you nodding in agreement. That's how come I chose you.
That's good. We are in agreement. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I'll go to this side. Council Nesnick?
Yes, thank you. So just maybe a question through you, Mr. Mayor, to our Recreation Director. Just, I know like the Pelham Park organizations have been really asking for this really since I joined council with regards to the clay surface. So I guess in their priority list, what is the priority for the teams or for the organizations?
The Director of Recreation.
Yes, thank you for the question. Through you, Mr. Mayor. And when this was announced, we did meet with the Pelham Baseball Association, and obviously, this is a great announcement for Centennial One. Centennial One is the priority. It's used all the time, very highly, and is a need for the upgrade. Secondly, the clay infield conversion is a high priority on any field because now the children need to slide, and sliding on limestone, we know what happens. But they cannot overrun bags. They have to slide. So their priority is to, upgrade all of the diamonds to the clay, throughout the, as soon as we can, if that would answer your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much. And then just a question for our treasurer. Do you have offhand how much is in our Parks Reserve?
Okay, through you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have it offhand. I know we looked at it when I did this report, but we definitely have enough to cover this. There are two park reserves. One is parkland dedication. That's an obligatory reserve, and we have money in that one. And then we have a parks reserve. So we do have enough money to cover it. I just don't have a number off the top of my head.
Thank you, Director. Councilor Nesek, and any other questions?
No, thank you. Well, then I think I would be in favor of just moving forward with both projects and taking it out of the reserve. Just because knowing how the world is operating, next year it will be that much more expensive. And looking forward to 2026 and look at all the money we'll be saving from Parks and Rec that year. So I think both places deserve to have the upgrades. And if we have some money in reserves, let's do that. And then next year, build back up those reserves if possible.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Eckert, or Councilor Wink.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with your observation and Councilor Hildebrand's. I prefer to go with option one and just switch out the priorities of the 2 years. So we'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you, Councilor. Deputy Mayor Eckert.
Just before I make a comment, question on the timing of this. I know they have a big event coming up this year at Centennial, and when I was talking to the president of Pelham Minor Baseball, clearly these diamond conversions are not going to happen till maybe the fall, because they'd be losing a lot of diamond time. Or do you have more information on that? The timing of these conversions?
To the Director.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. I mean, ideally, we would like to have the infields done as soon as possible and right now. And we would delay the lighting until the fall, because we tend to light diamonds once the ground is frozen. And this actual grant must be completed by March 2026. So it would be a fall-winter project lighting. Once we contact, if this is approved, we will contact the providers and see how quickly they could come in to upgrade the infield. and the time frame that it would take. And then we would discuss that with Pelham Minor Ball, if they could give up that diamond for that period of time to do the upgrades as soon as possible. If not, it would be done in the fall.
Okay, thank you very much. I certainly don't want to lose sight of the upgrade to the multi-use pad in North Pelham Park, because they've been looking for that for a long time. But it appears to me to be the largest expenditure of the whole project, being $400,000. So I would be in favor of the switch and deferring that till the next year. But believe me, I'm not losing sight of that, and I will be making sure that we're deferring it till next year and not till 2030 or something. So I want to make that very clear. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Eckert. Councilor Bernarski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I enjoyed reading this report and the work that was put into it. And I would echo Deputy Mayor Eckert's comments that not losing sight. I have a front row view of North Pelham Park. Use it often. My children use it. I see how often it's used by Pelham Minor Baseball and others. And so I see option one as being a good one to move forward with. However, I wondered if the redevelopment at North Pelham Park, if there were any considerations for upgrading security measures or other things by the town. As it seems, there's a lot of use outside of baseball, such as dirt bikes, ATVs, ripping through those lands there. So if we're putting money into it, are we now going to be putting more money into it by fixing those potential damages that take place? It appears to be a leash-free dog park, although it is not, and there is one right around the corner. So things like that as well have wear and tear above and beyond just baseball. So I just didn't know if there was any consideration or if those funds include something like that.
To the director.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, excellent question. With the upgrades to clay conversion, and I just want to make note, this year, North Pelham Diamonds have had an enormous amount of vandalism on their infields. There are actually holes in the infields, and something is digging. I would imagine it's dogs, but by controlling the access to the infields as these diamonds are upgraded by fencing, and most of our new facilities, soccer, et cetera, we do fence so that there isn't access for, mini bikes or motorized vehicles or anyone making damage on the facilities. So what we will be doing is looking at the cost of completing the fencing around, especially Diamond 1 and North Pelham, because that's the largest diamond, and to see what the cost would be to be able to include that as well at the time.
Excellent, that's perfect, thank you very much. And I would just like to add in that I do appreciate the effort that bylaw has put into addressing the concerns at North Pelham Park. I understand though that they cannot camp out and police everyone that's there all hours of the day, but I do appreciate the effort that's gone into it. Thank you.
Excellent. So my question to the director then, will you be carrying out this fencing study soon, or because now I'm thinking, Greg, thanks for bringing that. I didn't realize that North Pelham was experiencing any kind of vandalism as that, because it does seem kind of foolish to spending $90,000 and then have local children turn it into a mini bike track. So what's your timeline on the security on the fencing?
through you, Mr. Mayor, what we will do is we will look at, well, in speaking with Pelham Minor Ball as well, Diamond 1 is their priority because it's the older children. Diamond 2 is a T-ball diamond.
Yeah.
If we can upgrade Diamond 1, convert it, include the fencing to protect the new installation, then that's what we'll do. So now, since we have the go-ahead, we will be right on it to see timing, costs, and see how we can protect it at Diamond 1 and get it upgraded as soon as possible.
Okay, excellent. Councilor Nesling?
Yeah, so I'm sort of hearing that option 1 is going to be the preferred choice here. Wondering if the unspent $80,000 that's mentioned there, that instead of transferring it back into the Parks Reserve, if that could be used then to fund the North Pelham Park. If you're upgrading it to the clay, could that $80,000 be used for fencing rather than put it back into the Parks Reserve? If that would be an idea.
And I'll go to the Director of Finance, perhaps.
Cook has some comments.
Or Mr. Cook, whoever, yeah.
Through the mayor, it probably is important to note that the park actually is fenced now. If there are intrusions by motorized vehicles, I mean, we could look at the gate size, but the entirety of both diamonds in that park does have fence. Already. That might not be something that we need to look at.
Okay. Oh, so there is a fence all the way down along, what road is that, Cream Street? Wow.
Yeah, it's fenced along Cream Street. The fence hooks in then to the multi-purpose court and then continues to the north to the park extent on its north side. It's not a chain link fence. It is a farm fence, but it would be effective. Dirt bikes are really difficult to deal with as they can fit through normal size gates. So if you have a gate that's wide enough for parents to bring in double-sized strollers, it's really tough to not restrict all the use. So smaller motorized vehicles will likely get through anything that we do. But like I said, the park is already, it does have fence around it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. To the Director of Rec?
Just to note, the perimeter it is fully fenced, but you still have full access to the actual diamonds. You can access the diamonds, and that's why we're having the damage that we are having now. So it isn't a major fencing job. It's just additional fencing that is required. That's
Excellent. All. Okay, so we'll get a report back then, I take it?
If we can...
To the CAO.
We'll look at it at the staff level. If it's going to be a modest enough expenditure, we already have some discretionary spending power, and we need not make it a council agenda item if it's sufficiently modest. If it isn't modest, as we determine, we'll come back with a report to you while the weather's still nice.
Excellent. Very good.
So I'm happy to take that as direction, or you don't even need a direct. We'll just do that piece. And if it's a modest enough piece, we'll just let you know that it's getting built. And if it isn't, we'll come back for your direction.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you. To Councilman Bernarski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I would just say that, yes, the perimeter definitely is fenced. And I can appreciate Mr. Cook's comment that dirt bikes especially will make it through regardless, which does allow me to fit my double wide stroller through those gates. But as I see it, there is that berm that runs through North Pelham Park, which gives a fantastic jump for dirt bikes to go directly over, but then land directly onto diamond number 1. So I just, I see that clay being ripped up, dirt bikes, dogs, whatever it is. So if it is a modest expense to look at fencing the actual diamond itself to negate those issues, I think that would be something great to look into. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Councilor, if I may, you got sworn in today as a councilor. Would you like bylaw?
You said you could see it.
Yeah. Great. Thank you for bringing that concern to council. Any other questions or comments? And I believe that we are looking at one. So I'll ask the clerk to read that with one in there, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I will use the same mover and seconder as the original motion. I have an amendment put forth by Councillor Hildebrandt, seconded by Deputy Mayor Eckert, that the motion be amended to insert option 1 into the second clause. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Any further discussion on this item? Not seeing any. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? I see none opposed. Motion carries.
And
To you, clerk.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, again, I will use the same mover and seconder as the original motion. I have a motion put forth by Councillor Hildebrandt, seconded by Deputy Mayor Eckert. Be it resolved that Council receive Report 2025-0113, Blue Jays Foundation Field of Dreams Grant Centennial Park Diamond 1 upgrade for information, and that Council select option number 1 to fund the town's portion of the $320,000 for the 2026 capital project number 500-526 Parks LED Light Upgrade Centennial Park Ball Diamond. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent. Any other comments on this amended motion? Not seeing any. Call the vote. All those in favor? Motion carries. And again, thank you, Blue Jays Foundation. And to you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings us to item 15, presentation and consideration of bylaws. I have a motion put forth by Councillor Wink, seconded by Councillor Niznik. Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Pelham, having given due consideration to the following bylaws, do now read a first, second, and third time and do pass same, and that the mayor and clerk are hereby authorized to sign and seal the bylaws. Number 1, Bylaw 23-2025, being a bylaw to appoint David Cribbs as CAO of the Corporation of the Town of Pelham. Number 2, Bylaw 24-2025, being a bylaw to authorize the use of alternative voting and vote counting methods. And Bylaw number 3, Bylaw 25-2025, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 4481-2022 for lands on the south side of Canberra Road east of Effingham Street, 286 Canberra Road, from the rural residential RR and village commercial VC zones to rural residential -169, RR-169, and environmental protection zones, EP1 zones, file number AM-01-2025. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And Council, considering the first motion, does anyone want to split the motions? And I ask that with tongue in cheek. If not, then we will, of course, vote on them in block. Any discussion on any of the items? Not seeing any. I call the question. All those in favor? And I see none opposed. Motion carries. Mr. CAO, you're still with us. Congratulations.
I see you slipped that in with the other two.
Yeah.
You had to take them all.
Yeah, exactly. To the clerk, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, that brings us to item 17, resolution to move in camera. One of these sections for closed session no longer applies to this meeting. Therefore, I have a motion put forth by Councillor Bernarski, seconded by Deputy Mayor Eckert. Be it resolved that the next portion of the meeting be closed to the public in order to consider the following under Section 239(2) of the Municipal Act as follows. C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, one item in Ward 1, and D, labor relations or employee negotiations, and B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employee. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any discussion on going in closed? Not seeing any. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? See none opposed, and we'll have to wait until we...
Through you. I will stop the recording.
Yes, and while we're getting